Hi, everybody. Welcome to Orientation to True Conversations. I'm Megan Enriquez, the founder and CEO of True Conversations. True Conversations is a media and training company that was founded in January of 2016. I want to share with you during this orientation a little bit about myself, a little bit about why True Conversations began, a little bit of its history, where it's headed as well, and a few key core things to keep in mind no matter how you're interacting with True Conversations, whether you're a employee or you're a staff member, an intern, a volunteer, an ambassador, a sponsor. I want you to feel part of this family and let you know where we come from and where we're headed. So I will start off with a little bit about myself. I am a mother of 2 children and a wife and a daughter and a sister and, of course, a friend. I currently live in Maryland, and I've been here since 2008. Prior to True Conversations, I was working at Johns Hopkins University in weight loss research with people who have serious mental illness, such as schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. I majored in exercise science and psychology. I grew up dancing professionally, and am also an adoptee from South Korea. All of these things and more have shaped who I am, have shaped what I wanted to create for the world and how I felt that I could better our community. Some of the things that I learned early on as a child helped me to realize the power and the necessity as a human being to understand other people, as well as to invite people to understand us better as well. So True Conversations is hoping to spread understanding, and particularly around the most stigmatized issues of today. So that is our niche, is to spread understanding through having true conversations around the most stigmatized issues of today. What does True Conversations even mean? True is actually an acronym for 4 values that we uphold in our company and through all the work that we do. T stands for transparency. R stands for real. So real stories, real experiences. U stands for uplifting, and E stands for empowering. So back in 2015, after I'd had my son, which was a catalyst for me to learn as a person the value of having true conversations, of breaking down walls and barriers and facades and who we think people want us to be, and really returning to who we are and to speaking our truth, to listening and honoring other people's truths, and for opening ourselves up to vulnerability and transparency. I had this life event happen, which was having my second child. And suddenly, instead of being on top of everything, being a perfect mom, supposedly, and a perfect business owner and a perfect friend, I really ended up having what I call faceplant moments. And you may have had one so far in your life. Maybe you've seen a friend go through it, but it really is a moment that breaks you down and you feel like you just hit the floor with your face and you have no idea how you're going to get back up again. After I had my son, I went through a lot of health and spiritual changes and just needed to grow through them. But what the lesson I learned was that we need to remember how to connect with each other, human to human, imperfection to imperfection. And we get to do that with how we communicate and how we lead. So the other thing that True Conversations is doing is we're redefining how we communicate and lead in today's world. We want to be helping people in whatever phase of life they're at to communicate and lead differently, communicate and lead with a whole heart, with an open mind, with respect and dignity and a sense of equality in this world. And so those are the things that we really care most about, and that pushes what kind of services and products and ways that we interact with our community, that these are the things that guide us. So spreading understanding around the most stigmatized issues and redefining how we communicate and lead. Those are two of the major pillars. And so as I was going through this life experience myself and realizing the need to create a space and a platform for us to have more true conversations, to be able to share with people what does the journey really look like, whether it's a health journey, whether it's a mental health journey, whether it's a spiritual journey, a career journey, the roles we play in our life as those journeys change, and most importantly, the journey of just you. And so I decided to create True Conversations, as well as thinking about what could I possibly do right now with the limited time and resources and energy that I did have. What was possible for me to create right now without having to learn something new? And so we started off with coffee house chats. We would get together a panel discussion that was so diverse of different and varying perspectives in one place. And that's something that we really hold dear. Everything that we do at True Conversations welcomes and values difference of opinion, different perspectives. It's the one place that people can go now and have opposing points of view and still get through the conversation with respect and value added to both sides. The more and more that the world has changed, is changing, and is growing, the more that I am so compelled through this vision of bringing together all sides of the table and teaching ourselves in our own private lives, professional lives, and the younger generations as well, how to actually have these conversations. Because, we are missing out on value when we don't listen to people who we disagree with. We're missing out on solutions when we don't cross cultures and cross generations and cross age groups and socioeconomic classes. We are missing the solutions to the next breakthrough in our society. We're missing ideas that could change the world. We're missing feeling whole when we limit ourselves to who we're connecting with and who we're listening to and who we're learning about. So that's why spreading understanding is so important. And as human beings, what we need transparency in a productive way. So why, going back to our TRUE, our true of this company, why are those four qualities next to each other? Those are transparency, realness, uplifting, and empowering. Because there are plenty of people out there in the world who know how to be transparent. They know how to be real. They know how to tell you like it is, right? But then you listen to them and you walk away maybe feeling validated for a moment, but then you don't know what the heck to do after that. And then there's people who are really good at the U and the E, uplifting and empowering. They're motivational speakers, they're coaches, they're keynotes, they're people who offer online courses, and they tell you all the reasons why you should do something and why you're capable of change and you're deserving, and yet there's something holding you back from actually believing them. So we blended the two things together, the human side, the side that needs to feel validated, that needs to remember you're never alone, that needs to know that someone who you admire and you put up on a pedestal for a while is actually in fact just like you, that they have their insecurities, that you know what their background is, that you know what happens when the doors close, the microphones are off, the lights are down. You need to be reminded of that. So that's where transparency and sharing real stories and real insights and real questions that we ask ourselves is so important in True Conversations. Then we want to leave people feeling more hopeful, something productive that they can take away with them, something that they've learned, something that they can implement. So that's where the U and the E come in, the uplifting and empowering part of the conversation. So everything that we do, how we post online, how we explain a story with a picture, how we do our podcasts, our events, our emails, every single conversation you have from now on is representing True Conversations. And then what I encourage you to do, of course, is to let it filter into all the other parts of your life, is to do it with TRU and E. Start off by connecting with people transparently, honestly, openly. If you don't know how to start a conversation, let the other person know that. That's a great way of being transparent right up front. This is an awkward conversation. I'm really nervous about it, right? Share your real experiences or what your feelings have been or what you want to talk about with them and how that's affected you. And then leave them with something of hope and leave them with an open door so they are invited to participate back and share with you their humanity. So, I don't know what the solution is, but I know together we can come up with one. I don't know, what we need to do, but I believe we can pull it together and make this happen. Or from what I learned from that faceplant moment was that it is so much more fulfilling and peaceful in my life to be open and honest about who I really am with people. And so the personal growth you have to do is always worth it. It's always an investment you should take on yourself. Whatever it is, you want to leave the person feeling empowered and uplifted, as well as humanized. So that's a little bit of background about who we are, where we came from, what we've done since. We went from coffee house events where we would host maybe 30 or 40 people around this panel discussion, and people got to have their own true conversations, to when we entered 2017, we decided we were going to do just one big event. And we were going to bring together a conglomeration of a community, anyone who is a female entrepreneur. Because as female entrepreneurs, whether you're just thinking about it or you've been in the field for a long time, we are going to be more powerful, more influential, and more of a change-making agent if we understand each other's journeys more. We stop shaming each other. We stop thinking that we're better than someone else, and we unite and we come together. So that's what we did for our, or we're going to be doing, depending on when you're listening to this, for our 2017 True Conversations Live event. We had documentary screening of She Started It, as well as a panel discussion. We also, in 2017, started, actually, no, it was 2016, I think, we started our podcast network. So at first it was just me as a host, as a podcast host. We had to learn how to podcast. We had to learn how to do all the technology. It was something we had no clue about, but that's how we go in True Conversations. When there's a vision and it makes sense to create something new that we've never done, we as a team come together and we figure it out. And when I say we as a team, you guys, in my office, it's one person. But what I have is I have relationships and people who know some little bit more about something than I do. So we're not afraid in True Conversations of asking for help, okay? Don't think you have to figure it out on your own. Don't think that you have to rely on just your resources. Simply asking someone hey, do you know something more about podcasting than I do? Do you know something more about holding events than I do? Do you know something more about getting us on the media and on TV networks than I do? And people are going to show up. They love to share what they have experienced themselves and what they're good at. So let them elicit your helpers. That's how we've become where we are right now. So like I said, we started with a podcast show, and then I had this vision, and I knew from the very beginning that I wanted to open it up eventually one day so that other people could host their own shows on our network, so that we can have folks who are listening to our show bump into other people's shows. And the reason for this is because today you're able to select out of being exposed to opposing points of view, and of different points of view, and of points of view you didn't even know existed yet, but maybe you find out are actually everything you've been looking for. We are so selective in our social media and our news consumption and even our Netflix watching that we can ignore a whole group of people or a whole group of thought, and we want to break that bubble, right? We live in a bubble already so much that it's important, it's responsibility as citizens that we go out of our way to expose ourselves to diversity. Well, with our podcast network, when someone subscribes to it, they don't have to go out of their way to expose themselves to diversity. We bring it to them. So we invite organizations and individuals to host their own show. We teach them and show them how to do it. And then they can have these true conversations around the topics that are most important to them, that they see that the world needs to hear and have. So that is our media side, is our podcast service that we offer to organizations, companies, and individuals, where we teach them and host, on our network, their podcast show. And it's a part of our network, so it goes right along with everyone else's shows, hand in hand. People just have to subscribe to one channel. That's a paid service. Sometimes we also do a value exchange where they offer us, some service or volunteer work or help in exchange instead of giving us money. And then the training side of what we do, like I mentioned in the beginning, True Conversations is a media and training company. The training side is going into corporations, college campuses, school systems, anywhere you can think of where we need to start redefining how we communicate and lead, and we can teach people how to talk about these stigmatized issues. Why is diversity inclusion so important in today's world? Why do people need to learn how to talk about these things? Because more and more we know with performance at work, we know with patient satisfaction, we just know with good business and success in any organization, we need to stay humans. We need to be able to have a productive way of connecting and building trust and building relationships and respect for one another in spite of whatever differences we have. Points of view, belief systems, origins, doesn't matter. But we're so afraid to talk about it now because we don't remember how to have a conversation that is respectful and that encourages us to think maybe that we're not the ones who know everything anymore. So we like to help groups and businesses go in. We like to go into them and help them figure out, come up with a plan, or provide a training or a workshop or ongoing support so that they can create a new culture in their work environment where true conversations are had all the time. And, for everything from financially to, employee retention to avoiding lawsuits, what we do is so helpful to all of those groups. So that's our training side. So that's where we've been. That's what we've done. What we're heading into is an additional, our third piece, so our media and our training, well, kind of a hybrid of all of those, is to start working with the next generation of leaders. So millennials and Gen Z, especially in college campuses and universities, we're looking to start a student organization where we get to work with student leaders and teach them to do what we do. We want to duplicate what True Conversations is doing on a national and international level. We want to help give them this microcosm of it on a college campus because we feel it's really a responsibility to help train up the next generation, and also that this is a perfect time in their life where they can learn how to be a success in the world, in our global community. How do they navigate coming across people who have different points of view and have that be an asset, have that become a coalition, have that become a strength as they go out into the world beyond college and university? Well, while they're at school, that's a great time to learn about it. And so from all of my experience of being a leader on college campuses through SGA for 2 years, a community assistant or an RA, for those of you who call it a resident assistant, in the college dorms, to a healthcare educator, to an AmeriCorps member, to the vice president of academic affairs. I mean, I loved my college days. I'm so passionate about reconnecting with that age group because I know the potential for completely shifting a generation's way of thinking. And we believe that True Conversations is something that we want the next generation to be using in their private lives, at home, as a parent, as a wife or a husband, as a friend, as an individual, as well as in the professional workplace as well. We want them to be using True Conversations there too. And so that's where we're headed. We're continuing to expand our podcast network, offering it open to other people to host their shows. We're continuing to start developing relationships in corporate environments and on universities to offer our training, and even teaching people how to do our training. So it's not just me going around, it's going to be other facilitators. And then our third piece is, of course, working with college students as a sort of microcosm to help them have a True Conversations right there on campus. So just as a refresher, what does TRUE stand for? Transparent, real, uplifting, and empowering. And in everything we do here, we embrace those. So even if you are worried or have a concern, you need to communicate honestly. You can communicate and learn how to do this in a way that's comfortable for you, but please don't ever hold anything in or assume that you think that, I'm going to be bad about something or that you shouldn't say something. One of the best tools that I learned from Brené Brown, who studies vulnerability and shame, is she gave such a good quick way of asking someone, are we on the same page, basically. And so I really encourage you to use this amongst our team and amongst however you're working with us. There's ever time you're not feeling right about something, or you're thinking that someone might be upset with you, or you're not sure why I reacted a certain way or what an email really meant, is to just come back to that person and say, I want to talk to you about what just happened, or I want to talk to you about what you said. The story that I have in my head is blah, blah, blah. The story I have in my mind is blah, blah, blah. Okay? Because there's a story that you have in your mind about what just happened. Oh, they're mad at me. Oh, they're grumpy today. Oh, they're not happy with whatever. So tell the other person what the story is that's going on in your head. And that invites all of us to be able to set the truth straight. We get to say, oh my gosh, well, that kind of is what happened, and this is why, and we get to talk about it. Or we're going to find out that's not the story at all. I mean, that's what you thought, but actually what I thought was X, Y, or Z. And you get to just get back on the same page with the person. Okay, so we're not just here to promote this new culture of being true and having true conversations, and we're all flawed. We're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to not do it the right way at some point. And that includes in the context of however you're working with this company. That includes, how I'm going to say something sometimes. So we just have a policy of being open and honest, of not getting defensive right away, and of just, if something's bothering you, to speak up and say it. Also speak up and say when you're grateful for somebody. We have a huge culture in this company of being grateful and of expressing our gratitude. So even if you think someone knows that you appreciate them, it never hurts to let them know. Not every single time, maybe they do something, because we help each other out so much that could end up becoming like 100 texts a day. But every once in a while, treat people how it helps you feel good, and get to learn each other's love languages as well. So, and express to your supervisor or to whoever you're communicating with, maybe what does feel good to you. Do you enjoy being recognized on a social media post versus a personalized email versus a text message versus being sent a little gift card, being, recognized at the event in front of everybody? Not everyone's the same, right? So we have a responsibility to have true conversations here, right here in the office, or on Zoom, or however we're communicating with each other. So that's about it. That's what I wanted to share with you in this little orientation. You can ask me questions, and I'll be happy to send you the answers. And if I missed anything, just let me know, and we'll add it into the next video. So thank you for watching. I am so, so grateful that you are choosing to be a part of this company in some shape or form. I cannot do this alone. I never envisioned doing it alone. This is our platform. It was meant to be here for the world, for all of us. So you're really a part of something huge. This movement, this culture we're promoting, this new style of communicating and leadership, and just spreading understanding around really the human issues we all experience every day, but we're so afraid of talking about right now. So go out and have more true conversations. And thank you again for being a part of this family.